Boo ba 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 boo 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 ba 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 boo 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 here te te do 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 Nickelodeon. I'll just keep that in. Hey everybody! I feel like death.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I feel pretty good.
London might be dead next week.
Don't say that. I have a cold.
Yeah.
That is
in Washington State.
Did you know that?
We're just a few miles away from where people dying.
Yeah. Well, there's Snohomish County, and what's the other county that people are dying in?
It was like somewhere in eastern Washington, wasn't it?
I mean, did you know that the 16 of the 17 deaths in the U.S. are in Washington?
Have they really?
Yeah. And then the other death is, I think, in New York.
I didn't even realize it had crawled that high. Last I heard, it was like 8. But
yeah,
that makes sense.
That's not
seeing how
they're all like really old.
Yeah, they're old or not old, but old or have some sort of other condition.
Yeah, but there's still no even cases down here, really. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it did go like because they were saying like the tests or whatever weren't working correctly, so they just there were like 6 weeks where it was just like, oh yeah, someone with coronavirus landed in Washington. We'll take care of it. And then 6 weeks later, they were like, yeah, it was kind of just...
No, but I can tell I'm fine. Because I don't have any of the symptoms. I just have a cough.
It's like...
It's like pretty common symptoms. It's like a fever and I think sore throat. And I had a sore throat, but unless I got over the virus in one day... Maybe I'm a superhuman.
Maybe. On the subject of Nietzsche right there, in flavor with our first pick.
Yeah.
Him and his Superman philosophy.
Yeah. He actually wrote the first comic book. Fun fact.
Whoa! Yeah, the fucking...
He
old DC. German Superman.
So yeah, literally the only thing is I'll probably be coughing a lot on the podcast. That's why I have a bunch of water. I'm just like, just drown out the coughs with water.
Yeah. That might work.
So we did watch 2 things today, or this week. We watched Solo, or 120 Days of Sodom.
Yes, and then we watched The Shivering Truth, which is a 1 season, soon to be 2 season. I got renewed for a second one. But a stop-motion anthology, horror
Black comedy, dark fantasy horror, surrealist thing, anthology series. That was only
like
71 minutes or something like that.
It wasn't very long.
I guess if you watch the credits each time, it would be like, I did watch them because they were only like 20 seconds. They were singing little songs. Yeah, it's like 74 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll be talking about that and much, much more. But Thomas, what have you been up to this week?
So this week was an interesting one. I went back because...
Played a lot of Fortnite.
No, well, I played a lot of Fortnite for like the first day of this week, and then I got the skin that I wanted to unlock.
Nice.
And then I was like, all right, I'm kind of done with this game for this season. So until they bring in the new battle pass and all that shit, I'm probably done playing. But so I was like, oh fuck, what to do with my time now? So about hitting your little
hit my little
blinds things, whatever those are called. Not a curtain, that's for sure. But about a year ago or so. Oh, I guess, okay, so back in 2015, I started Dragon Ball Super as it was airing, and I kind of dropped off around episode 27-ish, and then about a year ago, I went through and I watched the new stuff that hadn't been adapted into movies beforehand, up until the Tournament of Power, and then the dub ran out, so I took a break, and just this last week I went through and I finished the last saga of Super, so finally caught up on that, and then I started GT. I rewatched the Broly movie, so.
Yeah, I saw that. I watched that. That's a good movie.
Yeah, it is a good movie.
I really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, the only thing I didn't enjoy about it is the fact that Vic Mignogna's in the dub, which I watched it subtitled for the first time. Thankfully, the Broly character doesn't talk a lot, so he's not, like, in the movie a lot, and if he is, he's, like, screaming or something, so it wasn't, like... It's not like watching Full Metal Alchemist.
Another thing I need to put on my list of things I need to redub. I'll just be Broly. I'm Broly!
But,
I want to be friends!
For the new video games, and assumingly for the rest of the Dragon Ball franchise, if Broly ever comes back and gets dubbed again, it's going to be Johnny Yon Bosch, the voice of Ichigo and the Red Power Ranger.
He's a good-ass voice actor.
Yeah, no, he is. I quite enjoy a lot of his stuff. He's one of those voice actors. He plays
Iron Fist in the fucking newest Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. I remember, and he sounds just like Ichigo in it.
Yeah, he's one of those voice actors that definitely he just talks in his voice.
Yeah, and I was reading a tweet yesterday about this from ProZD or he's a YouTuber and he's a
I've heard the name
but he.
Does he do like
he's a voice? He does he's a voice actor. Like he does voice acting.
Okay.
But somebody was like, "This guy's not a serious voice actor because he can only do a super dramatic role or like a really silly cartoon voice." And he was like, "That's really fucking stupid because voice acting is about acting more than anything. Like you don't have to have multiple voices. You can have a single voice."
That's like saying because like an actor isn't character actor like Song Kang-ho that they're not like a good actor.
Because you can just have one role. That's why I really
they're like the Will Smiths of the world, and then there are like the Joaquin Phoenixes where they'll take the extra mile to try to really transform.
Yeah, and I like there are roles in Will Smith where I would say he does a really good job acting. Like that's why when people say, "Oh, he's just playing himself," that's usually just being like saying that if you don't have range, you're not a good actor, which is stupid.
Yeah. I sit kind of in this middle ground on it. It bothers me sometimes, but I acknowledge that it's more of like a subjective thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like Will Smith, I tend not to watch a lot of his movies because he is very the same through a lot of them. But I also acknowledge he's got a couple good roles under his belt where I'm like, he gave it
Hancock
an extra push here. And
Hancock could have been so good.
Yeah, it could have been. It was decent.
I think the first half, well, from what I remember, I think the first half is legitimately, like, really good.
Yeah.
And, like, it's just fucks it up.
Once it gets to the second half, it was like, oh, they're introducing a lot of, like, stuff here that is, like, when it was, like, felt like a free-spirited kind of, like, slice of life in this shitty superhero's life. Before it got all, oh, you don't remember, blah, 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 blah.
Do you remember?
We'll try the first now, September. I always think of, like, Donkey's version. Is that a chicken playing guitar?
No, that's just from the original.
Oh, is it? I didn't realize.
Man, I wish.
ELO had such progressive lyrics. Is it ELO who sings that song? No, it's not. It's Earth, Wind, and Fire. I'm getting them mixed up.
Every band is the exact same.
Yes.
So is that mostly what you were doing? Just watching the Dragon Ball?
Yeah, pretty much.
I played a lot of Halo this week. Me and Joe were playing through, because he's never played any of the campaigns, so me and him, and Halo 1 came out in the Master Chief Collection, so me and him are going through the campaign of that, and I also was playing the Halo Reach campaign solo, and I just beat that last night. I beat that like 6 hours ago.
Epic.
And man, have you played Halo Reach?
No, I haven't played the campaign for any of them. I played a little bit of the first one because I bought the Xbox One. That was the Master Chief Collection was what I bought for it. I only got to like the second level before I switched over to my PS4 on the HDMI for more convenience, and I just haven't, like, I don't know.
A splitter.
Huh?
Get a splitter.
I should.
One of the ones that
Probably be wise to invest in that. I just haven't yet. That's like the only game I have for like the Xbox.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, because most of the time I buy a game, I buy it for the PS4.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
The only reason why I bought the Xbox was because of the 4K player.
Fair. Yeah, but so Halo Reach is you know this from the very beginning pretty much because it's a prequel to the series. So you know that everyone dies. But that game has some really good like fucking immersive storytelling in the final mission. So the final mission is called Lone Wolf, and it's literally you just are in a wasteland and you've like finished your mission, so you've gotten like help to they at least know about this like invasion because they invaded this planet hoping to like that no one would be able to get out and warn others, but you did it. And so you're like, okay, I finished my mission, and the goal shows up and it just says survive, and there's like nothing on your HUD anymore, and you're just like there's just a bunch of like fucking dust and fog and you can't fucking see anything, and aliens just keep swarming, and it's this endless wave upon wave of stuff. And it's like this really scary feeling because you're just like, ah!
Yeah.
And then as your like health starts to like decline, your like HUD, your helmet starts to like crack for the first time in the game. Oh. And I remember when I was a kid that happened. I was like, what? No.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And then the game, like, once you, like, die, or are about to die, it, like, switches to a cutscene where, like, your character throws off their helmet and you just see through, like, the camera of the helmet, like, your character shooting people until they die. But it's, like, really good. Like, the music's really good in that section.
So, it's not... Do you not play as, like, Master Chief in that one?
No, you play as a character called Noble Six.
Okay.
It's still a Spartan. The Spartans are just this, like, higher class of human, pretty much. They're just like super fucking huge dudes.
Okay. Huh.
Fun fact, Master Chief without his armor, shorter than me.
That doesn't surprise me because you're very tall.
I mean, with his armor, he's 7 feet tall, but without, he's only 6'7".
Oh, what are they, high heeled? Like,
well, it's just like pretty much every part of like the helmet's a little taller, okay, and like the shoes, like everything. He also weighs 1,000 pounds in the armor. Jeez. Like this armor's, you know, supposed to protect you from everything. That's why you can survive like a rocket launcher.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah. So I did that. I also watched. Have you ever heard of the manga or movies Riki-Oh?
Yeah. It's like the really like super violent thing. Right?
Yeah. So it's I watched. There's 2 OVAs of it, and I watched those.
I'm not familiar with the OVAs. I haven't seen it, but I saw like a review of it like some years ago of like one of the live action movies.
Yeah,
that they did
there's one live action movie, and we watched. Me, Joe, and Pierre watched that, and that movie like notoriously has one of like the worst English dubs like you can find. So it's one of the first times I've watched like a Asian film like English dubbed, because that was like the way to watch it apparently.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious, but it was also like pretty good. Like most of the fight scenes were fun, and like it was goofy, but it was pretty fun. It really dragged at like the middle section. Like there was like 20 minutes that were like excessively like badly paced, and like, oh good.
Okay.
But it was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Huh.
Let's see what else I watched. I watched Saint Young Men, the movie. You heard of that one? That's the anime about Buddha and Jesus living together.
Oh, yes, I have.
Apartment. It was kind of fun. It wasn't great or anything, but it was like when I really wasn't feeling well, and I'm like, this made me smile. That's mostly it. I've been watching more of the Into the Dark series because I fucking hate myself. That's the Hulu, like, kind of Black Mirror thing. It's their answer to Black Mirror, pretty much, the one where every month they bring out a new movie that's themed around that month, and I've enjoyed 3 of the 18 that are out.
Oh.
I've only seen 17 of the 18. There's one that I haven't seen.
Hopefully.
I tend to like watch like 3 of them, and then I'm like, I can't fucking do this anymore. And I'll wait like 3 months, and I'll be like, oh, okay, I'm diving back in. But yeah, the new one came out a couple days ago, and I watched that, and then I watched the one from Valentine's Day last month that I missed, and the one from like New Year's area is the only one I haven't seen. But yeah, oof. That's a rough series to get through.
Yeah, probably not watch
it. Even the highest rated one, I gave a 7.
Oh yeah, I'll probably never
7.
Watch it.
I gave 2 of them a 7 and 1 of them a 6, and then either 1 or 2 of them a 5, and then the rest are 4s or below. Ooh. It's rough.
Oh, I forgot to mention this. I also watched Mighty Joe Young.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Pretty good.
Yeah, I liked it. Kind of the same thoughts that I have on like the original King Kong, where I think the practical effects outshine like the overall quality of the movie, but it's still like a fun movie to watch. I have like my big major problem with it is like the first chunk of it takes place in like Africa, and of course the main character is like this fucking white family that lives there, and they've got like a bunch of fucking local servants, and it's just like but outside of that, it was pretty good. I liked it quite a bit.
Epic.
Had some awesome like sequences in it.
Very cool. All right, we're gonna take a small break, and then when we get back, we're gonna talk about questions, and then Salo. You know, I also rewatched Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle again.
Oh yeah,
just because.
Is that the second one?
That's the one from 2017.
Yeah. Okay.
Just because, like, Joe and Julia and Pierre wanted to watch it, so we watched it.
I had this like Facebook sponsored thing that was like an ad for the new Jumanji movie. But they like. It was like a video, but it didn't automatically play. Like, you had to go and click the play button on it. But the shot that it was, like, stuck on was literally Karen Gillian's body from the neck down to, like, her ankles. And it's just, like, her in her, like, suit. And it's, like, total clickbait trying to get horny people to click on it, I'm sure.
And then you clicked on it.
No, because I have respect for Amelia Pond. I'm like, have some fucking respect. This woman traveled with the fucking doctor.
Yeah. Dr. Ben Carson.
It's actually Dr. Matt Smith, but
Dr. Ben Carson. You know, why isn't Ben Carson running for president this year?
Probably because
he's an idiot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, kind of got the
Republicans locked down.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like
T-Rump.
I think Rump. The only other Republican I've seen who's running is like Bill Weld or
Bill
whatever
Weld,
his name is.
I think Bill.
Bill Weld. And he's not very popular.
Good. Okay. Let's talk about some questions.
It's one of my favorite System of a Down songs.
Pierre de Pollo. Emailing you under the veil of darkness that my goblin roommate loves to live in. Early access movies. The Fortnite game became a huge hit while still in beta. Do you think a film would be able to do the same? Like, imagine Avengers Endgame released, but all the CGI is unfinished and some scenes are missing. Then as time went on, it started to be more complete over the course of like 15 months in theaters. That'd be a good social experiment. Like, releasing a film in an unreleased state.
I feel like Marvel is like the only thing that would work for. Because it's got such like a fan base that are so eager to see like the next thing usually.
What are you talking about? The Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
The Snyder Cut will work.
I'm gonna say no. I don't really like that idea. I don't think it's a model that would work well for film. I mean, look at how well patching the Star Wars series has gone over the years. It's like, oh man.
Have you seen the stuff coming out from the episode 9 novelization?
I still haven't even fucking watched episode 9.
Yeah. It's so fucking stupid. It's like making the movie worse.
What did they have Greedo say in the new release? It's like,
McClunky.
McClunky. I love it.
I like that. I'm like, that's good.
That's like the only thing they changed, isn't it? Like, why? What? George Lucas is just like, I need that. That's the one imperfection of my masterpiece.
I kind of agree. McClunky's a good addition.
I think it's a good meme.
McClunky!
Fuck. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say something else about the Star Wars. Oh yeah. But it's like, I don't know. I prefer films be finished. I mean, I guess if they want to start releasing films like that, I guess I wouldn't really care, because I think the kind of films they would release like that wouldn't be really tailored for me anyway. Like, I don't think that, like, fucking Michelle Haneke is going to be fucking releasing partial movies to be updated.
I almost picked one of his movies today.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, but then you're like, I don't want something sad or...
I mean, I'd watch a Michelle Haneke movie. I like him.
Sure it's not Michael Haneke?
It might be Michael Haneke. I might just be pronouncing his name like a fucking asshole, but I don't know. I'm not Austrian, so...
You sure?
I mean,
not even a little?
I might be a little. I don't know. I haven't done it.
How do you feel about the state of American pop music? I feel that we have been declining over the years, especially compared to other nations. Gone is the era of idols like Vanessa Carlton and Avril Lavigne, and don't get me started on the loss of our proud boy bands.
I never really considered Avril Lavigne pop. She's like a pop, like a teen pop, rock, punk. It depends on what era of Avril Lavigne.
Pop is fine. Music is fine, in my opinion. Like, there's good and there's bad, same as there ever was.
I think...
Letting the days go by!
Oh, yeah. I've never been huge into pop music.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, you don't even like pop music.
But I can say that for, like, what, the last fucking 50 years, American pop music has been using the same goddamn chord structure for every song, for the most part.
Powerful.
Personally, I like what I've heard of, like, kind of like the Asian pop, like the K-pop and the J-pop, like that kind of.
K-pop's pretty
like
good.
It's good, and it spreads over here for a reason, because it sounds fucking different and unique. I don't know. Like, I think it's fine. There's obviously a fucking market for it, seeing how a bunch of mouth breathers listen to it anyway. Sorry if you listen to that kind of shit. You're a mouth breather. No. But...
Fuck you, Hinatea.
Oh, you're not a mouth breather, Hinatea. She's probably not even listening. Does she listen to the podcast?
No.
Bam, you're a mouth breather. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I don't know. It's okay. I prefer like 80s pop, I guess, because at least there's like Michael Jackson. He may have been a shitty person, but he knew how to write a tune. So
you know how to do a sexy dance.
I didn't really care about his dancing.
What element do you guys feel the strongest affinity towards? Air, water, fire, earth. Also, do you see yourselves as more light side or dark side people? How do you think David Lynch would answer this, the third question? Ha! You thought I was not going to mention Lynch.
Probably water. It's pretty much everything runs on water, so I'm like, oh yeah.
I feel like I have the strongest affinity to like the earth. Or like fire, I guess.
I mean, if we're talking just like straight like Avatar, air, but...
Because you're bald.
Yeah, because I'm bald. Sorry guys, I'm bald. Sorry to break the news over the podcast.
Can we shave your head for the podcast?
No. I'm growing it out. Starting now that I'm bald.
1 million subscribers.
If we hit a million subscribers,
we would never hit a million
you
subscribers.
can fucking shave my entire body. I don't care. But
We can recreate the scene in It's Always Sunny where you are covered.
crawling out of the couch.
Perfect.
There we go.
I would say I'm more on the light side because I try not to be evil.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like in this kind of middle area. Like I try to be a good person, but I don't like overextend myself.
But then every weekend you go out and you murder someone.
Oh, I shouldn't talk about that on the podcast. But yeah, I don't know. Like because I've got like two halves to me. Because I've got like this part of me that really wants to be a good person and wants to like try to make an effort towards being like super nice, and then I've got like the part of me that's like just kind of an asshole, kind of indifferent. When I was in like high school, I followed like the Carlin philosophy, which is why should you give a shit about anything? It's not going to change, so just kind of view the world as your entertainment kind of thing. And I don't know.
Is that why you were an asshole in high school?
It was a major philosophy that might have lended towards that. I'm trying to like work on myself. I think I've done a much better job at finding like this middle ground where it's like I can still have that bit of cynicism that makes me feel good, but I can like also just try to be a good person and not be such like a closed-minded asshole at the same time. It's a really hard balance to pull off, and I don't know how well I do it, but I try. Oh, hello, Donkey Kong. He's got the puppet out.
We should have Donkey Kong on the podcast.
I mean, if he was a actual talking, living thing, perhaps. But I feel like that'd be hard to have him on the podcast.
You just have to eat a bunch of bananas.
I figured we'd have to pay Nintendo a lot of money.
No. All right. Let's talk about Thomas's favorite movie that we've watched on the podcast. Solo, or 120 Days of Sodom. So before we started, like, Thomas walked in and he was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk about this movie. I loved it so much. Right?
No.
Oh.
I mean...
That was a fever dream, right?
Yeah, it might have been.
Gonna be honest, I was not affected by this movie, like, at all.
Yeah, no, I
was just like,
There's a couple scenes where I was like, oh, like, that's kind of graphic and I don't like that. Like, obviously, like, kind of rapey scenes, but... like,
yeah, like, there were scenes that made me a little uncomfortable, but, like, maybe it's because there have been so many, like, intense movies that have come out since Solo, but I was like, this is not that intense. And I think the big reason is my first complaint with the movie is I don't think the acting is very good.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard to get invested in these characters and care about, like, their strife when it just feels so manufactured. Like, I can't get invested. I can't believe these characters are real.
It's like, oh man, how am I supposed to fucking get erect if the acting is so bad?
Yep, that's exactly it.
Be honest. Any scene in this movie that do it for you?
I mean, no. Like, some of the kinks involved in the movie, I'm like, okay.
But none of the betrayals that got you.
Yeah, because none of them. The good thing about this movie that I thought was pretty solid is, even though, like, the whole movie is surrounded with sex and stuff, and even though the characters are into it, at least some of them, obviously.
Yeah.
The film never portrays anything in, like, a erotic tone. It's always like, this is bad.
Yeah.
Which I thought was good. No, I mean, like, pissing on the face, I'm into. But not when it's some weirdo guy. Like,
yeah.
You need to be sexy. You need to be a sexy guy if you're going to piss on my face. If you want me to piss on your face, you better be fucking sexy.
Oh, I thought you were asking. Yeah, I was like, no thank you.
No.
You
want me to piss on your face?
I think my face is fine. Piss free.
What about you? Did you get erect in the movie?
No.
Okay, I was going to say, like, the fuck, Thomas?
No. I was just curious because I know you're, like, into the kinkier shit more than I am.
Yeah. No, like, there are things that I'm pretty well versed in pretty much every kink that was like present in the movie, except like scat. I'm well versed in it. I know a lot.
You
about
just
it.
aren't.
I'm just like I don't really care about, eating poop.
Yeah.
I remember that there's so many of our friends or people that we know, like they fucking hate that scene, and I'm just like, I don't really get it. Like I didn't like love the scene, but I'm just like, what is with your loathing for this scene? It's just
Are
another scene.
you talking about our boy Franco?
Franco and Michael.
Oh, Franco.
Michael really fucking hates this movie as well.
Yeah, I remember Mike. See, I remember Michael being like, I didn't really think it was very good, and I remember Franco was the one who was like super like, oh, that movie was fucking garbage.
Yeah, he's like, it's the fucking worst movie, and I watched it, and I messaged him, I'm like, I don't get it, Franco. Like, I didn't necessarily, spoiler, I didn't like this movie.
I thought it was...
There are... I thought it was kind of bad, but, like, there are things I do like about the movie. I honestly think this should be remade.
Yeah,
or at least there's enough room for improvement.
Like a readaptation, because it's based on a book.
It's like a super loose adaptation from what I've heard.
Yeah.
But like the movie has enough room for improvement that I like. At least I'm not like we need to remake Solid, but I wouldn't be like disappointed if they remade it. I'd be like, okay, I'm interested. Just because there's enough stuff that I'm like, okay, cool. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the movie. It's pretty plot light. They mostly just talk through like dialogue about the themes of the film, pretty much.
Yeah.
But the beginning, it's based in Mussolini's regime, 1944, the Republic of Salo.
Yes.
Mussolini, if you don't know, leader of Italy.
Created fascism, or the label of it.
Yeah, he was, by the end of World War II, was pretty much just a puppet state for Nazi Germany. Bad dude, from what I can tell. Bald. That's how you know. So, this movie is based on a book written in the 1700s, which follows kind of similar story, but it was readapted to be based in the 40s because Pasolini, the director, kind of lived through that. He's like, okay, I get, let's talk about how fascism is bad. And that's, if you boil the movie down to its very core, that's what the book is. Fascism bad. And I'm like, okay, I knew that already.
Yeah, they kind of like boil it down into like this sadomasochist kind of relationship between like the government and the people. And that's kind of like the idea of the movie is like they get all these like young people and like it's like what, nine males, 9 females, and they're like sexually and psychologically torment them for 120 days.
120 days. So there's these 4 really wealthy, like, fascists. The 4 main ones. They're, like, the ones that own the house and stuff, but they...
Yeah, they're high-ranking in political power, aren't they? Like, one of them's with the church, and one of them's, like, the president or whatever, like, president equivalent in Italy is. Yeah. I don't know.
So they pretty much... They don't even really kidnap. They're just like, well, we hold all the power, so you have to come with us. Like, they kidnap them, but legally, in a sense. Because they control everything. Rules, so they get 9 boys and 9 girls. And one thing that I do really like about this movie is they don't... most of the people don't really even have names, like most of the victims. Yeah. And almost none of them even have backstories. And most of them don't have very much dialogue. Yeah. And I think that's... this theme that, like, in to fascists, to, like, corrupt people are just another commodity. I think that theme is shown pretty well because of that.
I think was the only... Cause
there's one character named Franco.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember there's the one character...
Sergio, I think?
Yeah, I remember there's the one character who was named because they're like, he has the best ass.
Yeah, I think that was Franco. And then Sergio was the good boy that was following them around. Like, okay, I'll do it,
The one who was kind of into it.
Yeah, like a little, or at least,
At least feigning to be. But,
yeah. So they kidnap them, and they take them on like a bus or like a truck to go to this big mansion, but somebody like tries to run away and escape right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then he gets shot and dies. And I'm like, wow, that guy got off really easy.
I for a second, I was like, because obviously the way it was filmed, you don't see like the impact of the bullets or whatever, but he just like drops and then they like leave.
I thought he was going to get up, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, if I was him, I would have just dropped in that situation. And
yeah, he heard a bunch of bullets. I'm just going to drop. That's what exactly as I was watching, I'm like, oh, what if he just dropped to like pretend he got shot?
Yeah. I mean, realistically, in real life, I don't think that would work because I'm sure they would like.
Realistically, in real life, I also don't think I would drop. I think like I'd be in too much in shock to be like, people are shooting me. Yeah. So they get to this mansion, and there's 4 parts to this film. I think the first part ends when they get to the place.
Yeah.
That's called Antiferno.
I gotta say, I've got a big problem with this movie right off the bat.
What?
There's one part where this guy walks in and he spits on this girl's face, and it's all like fucking milky and on her face, and it's like everywhere. And then they do like a quick cut away, and they cut back to the girl, and her face is completely fucking clean.
Also, I'm like, sir, if your spit looks like that, you should go to a doctor.
Yeah, it's like, I was like, did he like just take a shot in the mouth before he fucking spit on this girl's face? What the fuck?
Is he a cow?
Yeah, like, why is your spit like fucking white? But I guess he's just a fucking android from Alien.
So they get to the palace. So there's 17 of them left. One guy died, and they're like, we're gonna do whatever we want to. That's literally, they're just like, here's the schedule you have to follow every day. You have to meet in the group orgy room.
Yeah.
Some of the names in this, like, I just couldn't keep, like, seriously.
Yeah.
It might be, like, a translation issue that, like, it sounds more sinister or kind of weird in, like, Italian. But just in English, it's just like, the orgy room.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a creepy thing to say if someone did kidnap you. Like, I'd be like, what the fuck? But watching a movie, hearing the word orgy room just sounds silly.
Yeah.
Or in another context, very erotic, like very sexy.
Yeah. I think it'd be, like, almost more interesting if at least for, like, the first part of the film, they, like, maybe weren't so blunt and straightforward with what's going to happen. Maybe if they're like, you're here and we're going to meet up in a group session or something.
My biggest issue with the film is I don't think there's a real
it's not
amount of escalation even. Like,
yeah.
Like, from the very beginning, they're awful people, then they do these awful things. Like, and then they're like, oh, but what if we put poopy? And I'm like, okay, I don't go, that...
You know what's funny?
That's just, like, the same line to me.
Because right before, like, the circle of shit part happened, I was, like, watching the movie. I'm like, all right, we're about, like, 40 minutes in. Nothing, like... Some gross sexual stuff is happening, but nothing, like, to the point where my stomach is churning. So I think I can eat my McDonald's while I watch it.
I was eating while I was watching.
And then the shit,
but
then he like just goes over and drops a fucking log on the ground as I'm like fucking tearing into my fucking McDonald's sandwich. I'm like, oh great, now I kind of don't want to eat this.
I mean, it's like to the point where when I was a kid, I would watch like this fucked up gross shit all the time. Like I've seen Two Girls, One Cup like 150 times. I don't know why. I just thought it was funny to watch it. So I just didn't care. I was just eating. I was like, it's very obviously not real poop.
Yeah.
At least in my eyes. I'm just like, I've seen people eat actual shit, so I don't, I'm okay.
Yeah.
But, this escalation thing, like, yes, they made them eat poop later on in the movie, but that doesn't feel like an escalation from sexual assault. Like, I would rather eat poop.
Yeah, that should have been level 1.
Yeah. So being like, oh, you have to eat this poop. I'm like, that's not an escalation for me.
Yeah.
So, like if you start your film off with sexual assault, like, and a lot of it, you can't really like escalate from there.
Yeah, you
like
kind of
very
hit the
much.
ceiling in the
And
first half.
that's the problem is I don't think the themes are properly portrayed a lot of the time because the escalation isn't there.
See, I was thinking, like, because I was also like, how is this going to escalate? And it got to the point where they, like, started, like, dying. And I was like, oh, there's going to be necrophilia or something.
Yeah, but
no,
then
there
it just
wasn't.
kind of ends.
was like-
When they do start dying, like, the movie's done in, like, 5 minutes.
I meant, like, the scene early on when they, like, open up and they see, like, the girl who had, like, her throat ripped down.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like...
And then nobody else died.
Yeah, and I was like... Because I was like... Did someone just fucking murder this girl? What happened? They didn't look like suicide.
It's really interesting. I need to talk. This movie shares so many themes with a Serbian film.
Yeah.
And the thing, what's so weird, what baffles me, is this movie is, like, it's not critically acclaimed, but there are a lot of people that do see this movie in, like, a good light.
Yeah.
And it's just strange because I think that the Serbian film has almost, like, a ton of the same scenes, but I think it's more subtle in its approach, which is really funny. Like, it does know how to escalate things. And I just think it's executed better as well.
I need to, like, rewatch a Serbian film at some point.
Well, I just mean, like...
super soon, but... Because the only thing I really remember about the movie is, like, the last, like, 15 or so minutes.
Well, and I mean, like, in a Serbian film, they share very similar themes, but Salo is like, we are fascists, we are bad, watch us torture them.
Yeah.
In a Serbian film, it's not like, oh, this character is legitimately the government. It's just like, this character represents the government oppressing the people. Like, you know, there's more nuance, at least in that sense.
Yeah.
So I just think it's funny that, like, Salo is heralded by some people as, like, this really intense, like, really, like, good horror movie that has all these themes. Not by everyone, obviously. But and then a Serbian film is mostly like, this is the worst. Because it's just funny because they handle very, very close to the same themes.
Yeah. Well,
I think there's always the chance a Serbian film in, like, 30 years will be re-looked upon. Because I'm guessing Salo took a little bit for people to really appreciate it, but...
Maybe. I couldn't say. Yeah. I mean, maybe it's because Salo came first that people are like, yeah, Salo did it.
Well, and the thing, also, Pasolini was a pretty, like, famous director at the time. A lot of his other movies were very popular.
Yeah.
So there's... And fucking... what the fuck is his name? Serbian film director. Spasojevic. I can't remember his first name. That was his first film, so...
Yeah.
That's another reason, probably. What?
It's his only film, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, like,
10 years later, nothing.
Apparently he was working on something, but...
Serbian film, too.
I'd be so happy.
Oh, jeez.
I know there was like 5 years ago, they were like, we're gonna do an American remake.
An American movie?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, an American movie. I mean, okay, so this first section, because the first section is them just getting there, and then the rest of the movie is like 3 sections. The first one is they have this big room, the orgy room, where this woman tells stories about pretty much times she was abused.
Yeah.
Like, all the times she was abused, pretty much. But she says it in, like, a sexual way.
Yeah. And she doesn't give enough details at first.
Yeah, and the guy's like, come on, details. And I'm sorry, let me do it again.
Fucking Grandpa Joe from Willy Wonka and the Charlie... Willy Wonka and the Charlie Factory. No, but it looked like it.
I was like,
and
what the fuck?
I was like, how awesome would it be if, like, this, like, really famous family picture and one of, like, the most iconic actors from it would have been in, like, a fucking extreme movie like this? For a split second, the idea of that brought me immense joy. And I was like, but it's obviously not him. But I thought it was when they, like, first showed him for the first time in the movie. I was like, is that him?
So she's talking about them, and then all the teenagers or kids or whatever, they're sitting around. They're kind of like pseudo masters during this, like their owners, and they take them around and they sexually assault them, whatever they want, pretty much. And that's pretty much how the movie goes. Like, each section, there's 1 or 2 times where they're in this group orgy room and this woman's saying stories. Then there's another section in this part where they're in the dining room, and this is the part you said you laughed at.
Yeah.
Like, I understand why you laughed at it. So a guy randomly throws one of the girls that's, like, serving them on the ground and sexually assaults
I didn't
them.
want that.
Yeah, but then another guy's like, look at my ass. He, like, takes off his pants and he's like, look, everyone, look at my ass.
And he's just going
Look at my ass.
showing it to people.
And he's like, quick, put it in me. And then the guy just scoots over. He, like, shimmies over and just starts fucking him instead.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that scene was
And he has, like,
pretty
a lazy eye, so he's like, meh.
Yeah.
Does anything else happen in this first part? Or this?
Let's see.
Like, that's mostly it. There's a bunch of, like, small side character
there's
things
like small
happen.
things that happen. Like, there's like, obviously it's before they get there, but there's like the scene where they're like trying girls out and they're like bringing them in the room to introduce them. And they like bring in the one girl who's like missing a tooth, and they're like,
They don't even take her, right?
yeah, no, they're like, get her out of here, get her out.
Oh my
We don't want her.
She's not. She's ugly. She's got a chipped tooth.
Yeah. But I was like, oh, fuck. All right.
I like that, because if this ever happened to me, they'd probably be like, he's too tall! Get him out!
Yeah, I just fucking like that.
And then there's this one guy...
If I'm ever in a room full of people who are like sexually scouting me out, I'm just going to start pulling out my teeth.
I'm going to just start farting a lot.
They might like that.
Oh, that's
They're
true.
in a scam.
That's true. They just hate farting.
They're like, ugh! Save it for later. Let's see. Yeah, so... Because they find, like, the dead girl. Yeah, there's, like, minor character moments, like the dude who's, like...
I bet in the beginning, before they even take people, they're like, oh, look at this guy. They look at somebody's ass, which is named Franco, and then this other guy named Sergio, who's really, like, he's kind of like, he's a good boy. He's, like, listening to them.
But, yeah.
And then there's, when they get to the palace, there's a guard that's, like, looking at, like, one of the servants, like, this black woman. And it's like, oh, they got a connection.
Yeah, that'll kind of come back later.
But it's mostly just small stuff like that. But
there's, like, a girl that we find out, like, her mom died trying to, like, protect her from coming to this place. That's about to become very prevalent. They, like, kind of build it up in this first part.
yeah.
Towards the end of the first part is when, like, the people are starting to break. Did the wedding...
The wedding happened. Yeah, the wedding. They kind of are like, Sergio, you're a good boy.
Yeah.
Here, get married.
Oh, okay. So if that's Sergio, then I was thinking of a different character. I was thinking of the one who, like, when he's going around and, like, kissing people during the wedding ceremony, and the one dude's, like, kind of super into it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's who I thought you were talking about. But Sergio's the...
Sergio's the one that's like, I'm complacent. He's
Yeah. Okay.
Or at least he's trying. I think he's just trying not to die.
Yeah. I mean, fair. Yeah.
So then we go to the circle of shit.
Well, hold on, because we didn't explain the wedding sequence, really. We can explain it real quick.
Yeah.
They get, so they basically choose Sergio and this other girl to get married. They have, like, a little wedding ceremony where the one dude goes around and he kisses, like, everybody in the fucking room.
Yeah.
And then he's like, ceremony's over!
Only the men, I think.
Huh?
Or mostly only the men. Like,
he starts with
deep tongues men, though. He's like,
Yeah.
I love men.
Because he starts off with a couple women, and then he starts going over to the men. But then he's like, everybody get out! Get out! And then they all leave, except for, like, a small group of men. And basically they're like, all right, go over. It's your honeymoon. Do your thing. And they're kind of awkward at first because there's, like, a fucking group of, like, 4 guys just watching them as they're trying to, like, get their fuck on. And then they start, like, actually, they're like, all right. They kind of, like, get past it and start to get into it. And then the guys come over and they're like, no! Now that you're warmed up, it shall be us who pull the trigger on this. And, like, they, like, hold them down, and one of them's, like, jerking the dude off. And I think the other one, I can't remember if he's going down on the girl or if he's fucking her. But then one of the other guys who's back there just comes up, like, starts fucking the guy in the ass who's like jerking off Sergio. And yeah, that's the wedding sequence. Now to the circle of shit.
Yeah. Oh, there's also a scene where the girl's like not properly jerking someone off, so they're like, we gotta teach you. So they bring out a mannequin. And they're like, this is how you jerk them off.
And then that guy goes over and pushes her out.
It's like this, and he's like, all right, so circle of shit opens up, and they're like,
yeah, the girl who we had mentioned before, whose mother died, she at like some point in the first part, she was like, I can't take this very much longer. And the girl was like, it's okay. But she kind of breaks in this one scene. Because
the woman that's regaling the stories is talking about how she killed her mother over a dispute about like her prostitution or some shit. And she breaks because she's like, my mother's also dead.
Oh, well, she just starts crying, and somebody points out, they're like, she's crying because you reminded her of her dead mother. So the one dude's like, oh, I like this.
And then
he shits on the floor, and then he makes her eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
then throughout the rest of this, it's just like, let's have some scenes of them eating poo-poo.
There's like a scene where they like go around and they like tell everybody not to poop. And they have like chamber pots under all their beds, and they like
put them in a big stew.
Yeah, and then they like go around and collect the chamber pots from people and make sure that they're empty. But anyone who's got like a duty in their chamber pot, they like write the name down. You're gonna get punished for that later.
But eventually they gather all the poo-poo, and they're at like the big dining room. And they bring out a big
platter of shit,
and everybody has to eat shit.
Yeah, and Sergio gets like force fed like an airplane.
Yeah, I mean, like this movie is this scene. You know, it wasn't. I didn't like hate it. It was obviously like uncomfortable. Like
I was like, oh wow.
Like I get it.
The characters are eating shit, and that's gross. But the actors are probably just eating like some chocolate.
Yeah.
Shit. So.
But I mean, like this is actually probably the best acting I saw in the movie. Like the facial acting of like their uncomfortability.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from the fact that most of the people in this movie weren't like professional actors per se, but they were models because those were the people that were comfortable being naked on screen.
Mm.
And obviously, when you're modeling, you may not have to do a lot of like motion acting or talking, but you do have to do like facial expressions and like poses and stuff. So I think that a lot of the body acting in this movie is pretty good. It's just when the dialogue comes out that it's not super great.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because I don't mind a lot of the dialogue, a lot of the themes that it conveys. I think it's pretty good. I just don't think that the performances really like
live up to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, man, today you could get a ton of people that are good actors that are like, yeah, I'll walk around naked for an hour and a half.
Yeah. Not as hard today. But
so they eat that poopy, and then they look. Oh, this is the part where they're also like, let's look for who has the most beautiful booty.
Yeah. So
and they like have them all like face in the center, and they're in a circle so they can't see their faces. Yeah. And they're like, well, we can still see their dinglings and their vaginas, and isn't that? Because they talk pretty much the whole thing about how much they hate women, pretty much. Even if they're having sex with them, they're like, I don't like women.
Yeah.
Misogyny. Who would have guessed these awful people would also be misogynists? What? But they picked Franco, and originally they're like, whoever wins dies, and they put a gun to his head, and then they start laughing. They're like, you think we'd kill you?
Yeah.
Then we go to the final act, which is the Circle of Blood. So they're doing like a ceremony at the beginning, and they're like telling all the kids to like laugh. They're like, laugh, laugh, and the kids just won't because they're really like sad, and it's been like 120 days or whatever. Like it's been a long time. But they tell jokes trying to make them laugh. And then they have this weird little wedding thing where the men of power are like sharing rings with the four like studs. That's what they're considered. They're labeled as the studs, which are the four like younger like soldier dudes.
Yeah.
And then they have sex with them, and they start to examine the captives in their rooms, and that's when they start seeing all these like betrayals. They're like, "Oh no!" So that somebody has a photograph. So it goes. Claudio reveals that Grazilia is hiding a photograph. She reveals that Eva and Antoniska are having a sexual relationship. They're lesbians, and Ezio, a collaborator, and that's one. I think one of the studs is having sex with one of the black servant girls, and he's shot dead.
So is the servant girl.
Yeah. And he right before that happens, he does like the thing he does is like a socialist like salute. So they're like, what?
Yeah.
Fuck you. And then everyone else is like, okay, all the people that just betrayed them were put on this punishment list. Mm-hmm. And then one of the victims is like chosen to replace that guy, so we kind of got off well, in the sense.
Yeah.
And then pretty much as the movie starts to come to a close, it's like all the people on this punishment list are like, okay, you got to be punished. And a couple of the people are spared because they snitched on the others. Mm-hmm. But then they huddle together. They cry in the bathroom while there's a giant tub of poopy. And then they're taken outside and they're sexually assaulted again. And then each of them kind of gets murdered in a certain way. Like one of them's hanged. One of them's scalped. One
of them gets a candle to their nipples.
Oh, yeah. Tongues and eyes cut out. Yeah, and
then two of the studs dance and...
Oh, and then the woman that had been playing the piano the whole time, she
commits suicide, yeah.
Yeah, she's just like, she suddenly realizes like the horror and stuff, and then she just like jumps out.
Yeah. I was watching like a video essay that was talking about like some of the themes in this movie. One of the things that it brought up was like even though these like people are like fascists and obviously terrible people, it kind of like begs the question of, is there any like grain of humanity still left in them?
And like, yeah, and that's what the pianist, helps to represent, is like sometimes, like something will trigger you and you'll be like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like what the like final line of the movie is going for too, because it has like the two like soldiers dancing and it's like, what's the name of your girlfriend? And he says like Greta or whatever the hell it was. I don't quite remember. Gretchen, something. But there's like a scene earlier in the movie that also kind of like embodied that, but I can't for the life of me remember what it was off the top of my head right now. But yeah, I feel like that's one of the things this movie's going for.
Yeah, I just there are things I like about the movie, but unfortunately, like I just didn't think it was very well acted. I thought the pacing was kind of.
I thought the pacing was a tad bit slow.
Yeah, the movie feels very long, and it's only like an hour and a half.
Yeah, it could have been way shorter than it was.
And I know they're trying to make it feel like, it's purposeful. It's supposed to be like this slow thing.
See,
but it's so weird because I don't think the passage of time is like shown very well either.
Yeah.
Like I would have much preferred, instead of like these 3 acts or whatever, or these 4 acts, I would have just preferred day one kind of thing, like a clear passage of time. Because it kind of just feels like 3 days pass instead of 120.
Yeah, because I feel like it'd be a lot more. Because the idea of like adding a decent length time to it was the idea of trying to like put you in their shoes of like, oh yeah, you have to go through this long, grueling process. I feel like it'd be much more effective to like stack a bunch of like really short sequences that are really extreme and having like a quantity of those that are outnumbering the just kind of like 3 to 5 things that happen in this 2.5 hour period.
Yeah.
I probably could have worded that better. It was a bit of brain stew, but I'm tired. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate it. And the reasons I disliked it were not because of like the extremeness of it.
I wouldn't even go as far as to say I disliked it. Like I was pretty middle of the road.
I disliked it, but like just bare, like, you know. There's some interesting things about it. Like Pasolini. So Pasolini famously died 3 weeks before this came out, and he was murdered. He was like
have anything to do with this movie?
Possibly. Not like because he was making this movie. Just so a bunch of reels for this movie were stolen by these thieves, like a couple, like a month or two before the movie was supposed to come out. And a lot of the scenes in this movie, or some of the scenes are shot again from a different angle with doubles, because they don't have the reels of footage. But somebody went to prison because they confessed the murder, but like literally like 10 years or 15 years ago, they were like, I didn't actually kill him. The police were like, if you don't confess, we're going to hurt your family. And there's another thing that came out like 15 years ago where they were talking about how the thieves had told Pasolini to like come and meet him, meet them. And Pasolini supposedly went to go meet them to try to get the reels back and was murdered. Like he was, they got like a metal bar and like just crushed his testicles. And then they like ran him over like 7 times.
I wonder if, like, at any point during that, he was like, fuck, I shouldn't have made this sick movie.
Yeah, so no, he got super murdered. And I think that might be another reason why the consensus for the film was seen in, like, a brighter, like, look, like, right when it came out, at least, because they're like, we can't talk bad about this guy that just died.
I mean, they could. They just didn't want to.
No surprise. It was banned in many, many countries.
What? Really? Why?
It still is banned in probably like 10 countries.
What? Really? Why?
Yeah. There's not like a ton to talk about this movie. Like I thought I was gonna like dive deep into like how it was made and stuff, but it's pretty obvious. Like it's like, oh, it's based in Mussolini's regime because, you know, he lived through that.
Yeah.
And, you know, the themes speak for themselves in this movie. I don't know, they're not executed extremely well, but they're there. And I can definitely see a lot of good things about this movie. Like I thought most of the cinematography was really good. I really like a lot of the shots in the movie. Maybe not the close-ups of shit and stuff, but a lot of the wider shots of like groups. I think that the main shot when they're in the orgy room or whatever, and I think that's blocked really well. I
liked the part where they were like, the 3 men were like walking up the steps and they were all like in their dresses and stuff. I thought that was like a pretty like, I was like, oh wow. I feel like if this movie didn't have like the iconic image of someone just fucking cowering in a dark room.
Yeah.
That is
like a good poster. I will say that. I do really like that iconic image. That's a good
no, I do like that quite a bit as well.
There's also a scene pretty early on where like they're all walking towards the door, like with their new victims, and it's like a shot of like the inside, but you can see them through the door. I really like that shot.
Yeah.
Like there's quite a few shots that I do really like. And most of the movie, it's by Ennio Morricone, the composer.
He does the score for this? I didn't know.
And I thought most of the score was really good, which is funny because my favorite track is the closing track, and I don't think he did that one.
Yeah, I remember thinking, like, wow, this has like a really nice soundtrack.
Yeah, like there are elements that I really like. I just think that the pacing's bad, the passage of time isn't shown correctly, and the acting's bad. So because of those things, I think the movie's dragged down like a substantial amount. I don't think the movie was ever going to be great, but I probably would have enjoyed it if it at least fixed some of those things.
Yeah.
And I'm giving this movie a 4 out of 10.
Oh, well, I am giving it a 5.
Whoa! 4.5 out of 10. Yeah, I was kind of disappointed just in like that I was kind of bored. I was expecting to go in and either like hate it or like really enjoy it or feel something.
Yeah.
And most of it I'm just like, huh.
Yeah.
That was my main thing about the movie. But like when it ended, I was just like, huh. Interesting. All right. Let's talk about The Shivering Truth. 7 episodes.
7 episodes.
It's kind of weird to talk about. Are we just going to do... What are we going to do for this? Just do a quick plot synopsis of each one and then talk about the movie the show as a whole, or...
Yeah, we could do it like that. Did you start with episode, like, the pilot, or did you save that for last? Because that was the last in, like, if you watched it on Amazon Prime.
I watched it on Adult Swim because it was free on there.
Oh, okay.
The first episode was...
Because the pilot is the Chaos Spin-Outs. That's the one of, like, the... Like, Blind Girl and the Butterflies and Bali.
That was the last episode.
Oh, okay.
At least
so that was the pilot,
okay.
But it seems to be pushed towards the last episode. And honestly, I don't think it's bad that way, because I think the actual season finale, the episode 6, is kind of like one of the lamer episodes. And I think the pilot's overall pretty good. So...
Yeah, the first episode, what's funny is the first episode might have been my least favorite, though. The first, at least in the watch order I went through.
Yeah. But, okay. So we have episode 0, the pilot, known as, or the title is Chaos Benounced. And yeah, basically it starts with, like, there's this blind girl, and basically... She was someone snapped her bra. So, like, the gym coach makes everybody snap her bra. That way she can, like, tell who did it. But then she gets a
welts form
that's, like, so big that the lunch lady decides to, like, slice meat off of it. And then she realizes, wow, the lunch lady is, like, slicing the meat off of her back. That she's like, wait a minute. It was the lunch lady all along. And then...
Yo, that scene was so fucking gross. I was like, what the fuck?
Fucking the lunch lady, like, puts out a cigarette on the fucking back meat and then just gives this creepy grin. And then it's the suicide bit. The suicide chunk of the episode. Where we start off with this character who is trying to open up a suicide hotline. It's his, like, dream job. So he can't get a job with any sort of company that does this, though, so he starts putting up, like, flyers with his phone number on it, and he's just waiting by the phone. Waiting, and it says that he, like, waits for an extremely long time. They do, like, a sequence where we see, like, all the plants grow, and he grows, like, a beard. And then the phone rings, and this is the bit that had Michael Cera and Jonah Hill, by the way. Those were the two. Michael Cera was the one who started the suicide hotline, and Jonah Hill was the one who kept trying to commit suicide.
I just keep trying to commit suicide, and every time I just start saving people.
Yeah. So basically, Jonah Hill calls and he's like, I hate my life. I tried to stick my head in the oven,
but I found $9 million in the back of it.
Yeah. I became extremely rich. So I used it to buy an top-of-the-market jewel noose. And when I tried to hang myself, I busted the ceiling and 2 girls were being held hostage.
2 kidnapped victims got saved. And then they said they'd do anything to keep me happy. So they made me a miracle. They made me, like,
this
concoction of 100...
It's like a cocktail of the world's most deadly poisons.
But when I ingested it... It turned out that I had accidentally made a miracle cure and my blood was amazing. It could cure cancer. And then that night when I jumped out the window, I fell onto the guy who kidnapped the 2 girls. And then the president called me and he's like, please, keep attempting suicides to save people. And he's like,
I've never been so happy before, but now I'm afraid to do it. And then basically...
Like, I can't bring myself... I have a reason now. I can't bring myself to try again. He's like, what do you mean you got it?
All right, let me tell you a story. So Michael Cera tells him a story about a teenager who wanted to commit suicide. So he starts writing a suicide note, but he wants to, like, make the fucking just top-notch suicide note. Wants it to be, like, studied in literary classes. Like, he wants a legacy off this note. And he spends years writing it to the point where he's, like, in his 80s. And news publications start catching on what he's doing, and there's like, you know, bidding wars for like publishers who are going to publish it after he dies and all that stuff. And he finally finishes it, and then he explains that once he did finish it, he was like, oh fuck, I don't actually want to commit suicide. And then just everyone was like, fuck you gotta die. So they drag him out to the streets, but they all like lose the stomach to kill this man before they do it. So so they just leave him. So this man decides, he's like, well, just to spite you guys, I'm going to keep living forever. So he just keeps living. But the point of this story is...
he's like, the point is, nothing matters.
Cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cared that he kept living, and nobody cares if you keep living. That's the point of the story. And then the dude's like, oh, huh. And then you hear him shoot himself over the phone. And assumingly, he succeeded this time, I'd assume, because he doesn't talk after that. And the dude hangs up and puts a tally on his chalkboard that he's got. And then apparently after that, like, it just started popping off his business, his suicide hotline. People start calling all the time. And, he never learned how to monetize the business. And then we switch over to a different story, which is the butterflies and the Bolognese. I love this is one of my favorite, like, sequences throughout the whole series. I love this, like, Bolognese butterfly thing. So basically, they're talking about the butterfly effect. You know, how... because realistically, the butterfly effect is like, you know, you travel back to the past and you, like, step on a butterfly.
Yeah, it's just saying that, like, it
the
has
smallest thing
huge
can have
consequences.
Exactly.
The consequences will reverberate, like, forever.
And basically, this one scientist...
Well, it seems like the fucking hurricanes start happening in Bali or whatever.
Yeah, he's like... So they basically deduce that butterflies have this vendetta against Bali. And we find out it's because the Balinese people and the butterflies have, like, this
age-old war.
Yeah, leading back to prehistoric times when the cave Balinese and the cave butterflies would, like, just battle each other. And apparently, like, a huge delicacy in Bali... Bali is instead of salt they have
the crushed butterfly skull.
Yes. So this one doctor
he figures out a way because it's saying that the butterflies will just flap their wings, and then on the other side of the world, a hurricane will happen because of it. And he figures out a way to
quite literally.
Yeah, he figures out a way that, like, he can control the butterfly wing
to basically do whatever he wants. So he starts living the high life, you know. Just by, like...
He can, like, just summon money and, you know...
Yeah, he's got, like, a car and a mountain of jewels. And basically, it reaches the point where he has so much that he becomes unsatisfied.
Because all he wants is love.
He's like, fuck, I want love. And it's like, well, honestly, he's got a big pile of jewels there. He could probably find something,
yeah.
But
then the butterfly stops, like, doing things for him.
And they're like, we've had a plan for you all along.
We need you to make the butterfly man.
So they have him dig up a corpse and basically build him this, like, puppet that all the butterflies can, like, fly into. He could stitch it up, and they, like, control him, like I don't know, it reminds me of, like, the Bug Man from Men in Black.
Yeah.
And basically he goes, because he wants to, the goal is this man is going to go to Bali and take it over from the inside.
Yeah, they're destroyed from the inside.
Yeah. So he goes and he ends up falling in love with this woman.
And they turn their back, and the butterflies are like, what the fuck? And it shows a butterfly shooting himself in the head.
Yeah, and basically, like, this butterfly man falls in love with this woman and grows to love Bali, and even loves the fucking crushed butterfly skulls. But then we find out that
she's like, I have to confess something.
Yeah, on their, like, 50th anniversary or whatever it was, and it turns out all these years... She was a wasp woman.
No, a bee woman.
Bee woman, my bad.
She's like, I'm actually a human body full of bees.
And it's because her mission was to teach butterflies that the true nature of the universe is chaos. And how it should never be defiled again.
And then the bees and the
butterflies, they just both
come out of the bodies and the faces. And they make a big heart.
Yeah. And that's the pilot.
That episode is so good.
Yeah, no,
I think that's probably my favorite episode.
Yeah, I really like that one. It's a really good one. Like the pilots. like I said, I kind of like that they put that as the finale because I think that's a much better ending than the whole like finger episode was. But I don't know, the finger episode's all right. It's not bad. But the next episode, which is technically the first episode now in syndication, is episode 1, The Nurple Rainbow. This is a weird one. So it basically begins explaining that everything in the universe is just the amount of one ant's dream. That's
true. That's actually a fact.
Yeah. Sorry, you can't accept it, but... It's your problem, not mine. So, beyond that comment, it begins with this man, Dwyer. It's his, like, last name. I can't remember if they give him a first name or not, but Dwyer wakes up in bed, and he pulls out, like, this really long condom out of his ear, and he's like, what the fuck? And his roommate comes in, and he's like, hey, good morning. Anything weird happen to you while you're sleeping? And he's like, this? He's like, oh, I didn't fuck your ear. He was like very specific, insinuating that it's like, yeah, he fucked his ear.
Yeah.
And then the dude like goes over like during a cut and we see that he just like fell asleep for like 2 seconds in a chair. And he like wakes up and he's like, hey, what did you do to me while I was asleep? And then he pulls out a condom from his ear. And his friend's like, what? I didn't do anything to you. Did I?
Did I do something?
Oh God, what did I do? And the dude's like, he's like, it's okay. You want to see like my deepest secret? And then he like opens up the top of his head and pulls out this really long hot dog.
It's just a giant hot dog.
I think it's supposed to be his brain, but they're like making it seem like it's a giant hot dog. I don't know. But then it opens up and it's full of ants. And then the ant goes, be careful. He's got guns taped to his biceps. Or his back. I don't know. It's like a Die Hard.
He said biceps.
Okay.
Or muscles. He said muscles.
Yeah, something like that. Some vague Die Hard reference. So then, I really like this little sequence. Then there's the Trudy hide and seek, which this little girl named Trudy just is doing the peekaboo thing, like where she covers her face. But when she does this,
she actually goes invisible, at least to like other people.
Yeah.
Like we see her, but her mother's just like, Trudy.
And then the dad comes in. Where's Trudy? Where? And then they like call the police, and the police are there, and he's like, I swear to God, I'm gonna spit on God's dick if I don't get my daughter back, or whatever the fuck he says, something like that. And yeah, basically, like, the dad, like, ends up going crazy, like, goes to a park, and, like, he kills himself somehow,
he explodes himself. He has bombs strapped to his chest.
Oh, yes, that's what it was. And then the mom is, like, at home, she's, like, pouring gasoline on herself.
And then Trudy's like, peekaboo, and shows her
she's
face.
She's like, Trudy, there you are!
Don't you ever wander off again? And Trudy immediately does it, and she's like, no! And then she explodes.
Yeah.
And then Trudy is like, Mama? Papa?
And then some, like, she's, like, chicken feathers, like, blew all over the room, presumably from, like, one of the pillows or something that was, like, on the couch. But she's got, like, chicken feathers all over her face, and then it, like, zooms really close into her eye, and it starts talking about, it's scientifically proven that a chicken can live without its head for, like, 6 years, it's obviously a fake fact. But
Yeah.
Some exaggerated number like that. And then they start talking about how they injected this man's head with chicken blood. And it's like a terrorist ISIS beheading kind of video where some dude's like, I've got this infidel here and I've cut off his head. And the dude's like, you've got some schmutz on your shirt. And he's still alive. Like, the head's still conscious. It's got,
And
like...
little tendrils are, like, moving around.
Yeah. And basically, like, this little terrorist video blows up, so they decide to take it on to, like, the road.
Yeah.
And do a comedy tour. And they're doing, like, this bit, and it's, like, on stage, and it's, like, funny, I guess. That kind of, like, fake humor.
Mm-hmm.
And then it leads to the part where he's like, yo, why don't you just die already? And he's like, well, how about this? I'll die if you can answer me one question. He's like, okay, what's the question? He's like, why does your religion encourage hate? And he's
I never knew my mother.
Yeah, and then he's like...
And he's like, well, then how do you exist?
So the terrorist is like, oh, good point. And he just disappears, and then the head, like, falls down, and we get, like... He's, like, exhales, and his soul, like, leaves his mouth. And then we go back to Dwyer. This cuts back to Dwyer. And he's at his, like, desk job. He's not very good at typing in random numbers.
Yeah, they're like, listen, like, his job is literally, his keyboard is just made up of random numbers. And he's like, all you gotta do is write the numbers. And they're like, listen, every other person can do, like, 100,000 words a day. You're doing 19 words.
Yeah, it's like...
He's like, but I just don't know what to put. And he's like, just put random. He's like, yeah, but I want to put the right one.
It's like, whatever, Dwyer, just get back to work. Hey, by the way, Dwyer... What's this? And he, like, starts poking around the back of his head. He's like, you got a giant fucking hole in the back of your head. Hey, there's something in here.
There's, like, this weird worm creature living in the back of his head.
He's like, what the...
What is that? And he starts, like, poking it with a pencil.
And he gets...
And he's like, oh, I get it. It's protecting its babies. And the babies hatch and then start, like, screeching, so they fire Dwyer.
Yeah, they're like, get out of here, Dwyer. And so he has, like, a fucking falling down moment where he's like, he pulls out a bunch of guns.
He pulls the guns out of his muscles.
Yep. Whoa.
And then they immediately like, Dwyer, leave. And he's like, oh, and he breaks down.
He shoots him a couple times. They're like, Dwyer, it's too loud in here. He's like, ah. So he goes home. And he looks in the mirror, and he starts, like, kissing his biceps, and he's, like, imagining the scenario where he's given an award for, like, the perfect amount, or, like, the perfect set of random numbers. And then he, like, starts talking about, like, how he fucking starts to love himself, and he pulls off the one thing that's every man's dream, to sleep with an exact duplicate of himself. So he's, like, fucks the mirror. And then the mirror gets pregnant. And then it gives birth to this little reflective baby. And he puts it on a shelf with a bunch of other reflective babies. And he turns around and looks at the mirror again. And the mirror cracks. And then he wakes up in bed and his face is cracked like it was when the mirror cracked. And that was the end of the episode. All right.
Yeah, this one... I really was not a fan of the
there's
chicken blood segment.
I do like that one.
I mean, I get it. It was like a little bit like a little yikes, just a little bit.
In like what sense?
It's just a little like, especially the line that's like, "Why does your religion promote hate?" And I'm like, well, it does. I mean, the religion itself, different interpretations of extremist groups do, but saying that a religion promotes hate is a little yikes.
I mean, I admit I haven't read all of the Quran, but some of the stuff I've heard from it does.
Yeah, but I just feel like it's a little yikes when you could just say that about Christianity as well.
I mean, you could
to target,
I don't know.
But also I just think that segment went on a little too long.
It wasn't like that long to me. It was like just kind of like
I feel it.
minute block in the middle of the episode.
No, this episode was probably my second to least favorite. There are things I like about it, but some of the segments just... Maybe it's just because I was trying to get in... It was the first episode I watched, obviously. Maybe I was trying to get into the show a little more, but it was...
Maybe.
was a little rough for me. It wasn't like bad or anything, but there were just parts of it like, eh.
But then we have episode 2, The Magmifying Past. And this one begins with a boy named Ryan who gets bitten by a flea and he starts scratching his arm.
Yo, this first part's so good. I love this first section. He starts scratching the scratch mark on his from a mosquito or a flea.
Yeah.
And it starts like growing and it grows into like a giant church.
Yeah,
to the point where he gets consumed by it.
Yeah, and basically like it, and then it's like, oh, it gave his parents the perfect place to mourn. And there's like this like reverend in there who's up at the front and he's preaching and
he's like, I'll show you how to repent for your sins.
So they go
and
over
it's
and they
scratching and it's like making it bigger.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, move a little over to the left. Oh, yeah, that's it. And then like the like preacher, his eyes like turn black and he gets like little flea antennas that like propel out of his head and then it like zooms into his face really quick and it's like the shivering truth. Ooh. And then we get the Full Metal Jacket bit. Where it's a clear parody of the scene from A Full Metal Jacket, where the dude's going around and he's insulting his cadets, and he's like, but in this one he focuses on one, and he's basically just shitting on this guy, and at one point the dynamic switches. Because he's like, look into my eyes and tell me what you see. And then it starts like he starts like internally thinking to himself. He's like, I really hope he can't see what I really am. That I'm this sad, pathetic piece of shit. The only time I feel good is when I'm bringing torture to these guys' lives. And the dude's like, hey, don't talk that bad about yourself. I genuinely respect you. He's like, you do? And he kind of like builds him up. And he's like, you can hear me. And they're like communicating telepathically. And he's like, yeah, just, I think you're a great guy. And, I love you kind of shit. And then it starts getting like really uncomfortable because he's like, all right, could you,
give me a little kiss. He's like, I don't know. He's like, nobody will notice.
Feel really uncomfortable.
Give me a mind kiss.
Yeah, no one will see. He's like, yeah. Oh, yeah, that wasn't that bad, was it?
I guess not. Give me another one.
And then he like wipes like shit under his eyes and he like eats his head and then it comes back and he's like, don't you tell anyone about what I did. And then he's like, all right. And then it goes back to like yelling at him externally. And then he's like, you want to know what I want to know, Sergeant? And then he's like, why are you so mean to me when all I want to do is bask in your love? And then he like, I don't remember quite what he says, but something happens to where like, he's like, congratulations, you're going to the war. And he like opens this big metal door.
The big metal door that just says war.
And he just kind of throws him out there and shuts the door behind him.
And he's like trying to get back in.
Yeah.
He's like, good thing we got rid of that fucking asshole.
Yeah, and then it cuts to him in bed, and he's like missing like his fucking body parts, and the doctor's like, congratulations, we've you passed your cyborg ninja whatever the fuck training.
They're like,
oh, what do I win? You gotta go back to the war.
Yeah.
It throws it back out there again, and they talk about like the process about like how they basically just keep sending him out
until all he is a ball of consciousness or something.
Yeah, a ball
but he
of
has
conscious energy, and he's just this big ball of energy with a hat on. And the doctor in this scene and in the next, or not the next episode, the episode after the one after this, but Trey Parker, one of the creators of South Park.
Never heard of him.
He's in basketball.
Never heard of it.
I don't know if there's podcast evidence where you said that you watched
I'm deleting them
baseball.
all. I'm still deleting the channel.
Just fucking delete. No evidence.
No evidence.
No one can know I've seen
baseball.
basketball.
Destroy my computer.
Stop.
I run away into the woods. And I go to kill Pierre because he remembers.
I always think of the scene where they're trying to give the dude like CPR and they're pushing on him and the hot dog keeps jumping out of his throat. It's a funny scene. But yeah, so
and then meanwhile, the guy who is like, he's like
the one who had the telepathic powers, he's in a woman's underwear store. There's like a line in the earlier part where he talks about like he likes watching women like buy underwear. It was like a little one-off line, but we see it come full circle here.
Yeah,
because there's like this lady in this underwear store, and she's like, I'm looking for some underwear, you know, and she picks up some self-bleeding underwear, you know, and it bleeds for her, so she doesn't have to. And she's like, this is a little weird. I don't want this. She's like, oh, well, what do you want from life? And she's like, well, I kind of want like a family, you know. She's like, oh, well, here's this. Push.
and then the baby comes out. And she's like, but I don't have there's no father. And he's like, oh, here, there's wife beaters over here. And then there's a floating wife beater comes over and pushes her down and steals the baby and walks out.
And it's like, oh, and then she's like, oh, and she leaves. But the dude,
he's like, I'm in love.
Yeah, he's like, I fucking love this woman. And he walks out in one of the like little
the thing
security tag.
But it's the insecurity reader, and it's like, insecurity. He's like, oh, you're saying that I'm insecure?
Yeah, you can check. There's nothing missing from the store. Oh, I get it. You're saying that something's missing from me. Like I've got this hole in my life.
It's because you did that to that poor man.
He's like, oh, well, I mean, it wasn't that bad. He's probably all right. Like, yeah, he's probably doing just fine right now. And then, like, hard cuts to, like, the church. He's in the church, and he's, like, praying. He's like, please forgive me. And then the Major's, like, conscious energy comes in and, like, lifts him up and shoots him. And he gets, like, a bunch of, like, holes through his torso.
Like holes of light through it, and then the woman walks in, and then there's a hole through his chest that goes straight into her face, and her face just starts melting.
Yeah, she starts burning. She's like, I'm basking in love. I'm basking in love. And it starts talking about how the love is so powerful that it starts, like, working its way in between her atoms. And it's just breaking her apart, and you start to hear her, like, scream. She's like, ah! And then, yeah, that's like the end of the episode. Yeah.
Oh, that episode was my jam. Personally, I'm a big fan of this episode. The sequence in the underwear store, I also felt maybe ran a little long.
Yeah,
but most of it, especially the fucking visuals of the last part.
Yeah.
With the light and the consciousness and then the atoms breaking apart. That was, like, really good.
Yeah, no, I really like
Also, I really fucking like the design of the, like, flesh church.
Yeah. It's really, like, neat, but, like, gross looking. Yeah. Because it looks like a church, except it's just made up of, like, fleshy blood.
Yeah, of, like, gross flesh.
Yeah. The next episode is called Ogled Inklings. This is probably my least favorite episode out of everything.
It's just the one where they're in the it starts with the prison.
Yes.
They're like a prison with no wall.
All of the cop sequences I really like, but everything other than that in this episode was kind of meh to me. But yeah, so basically there's like a jail in the desert, and it's just a bunch of like beds and prisoners in the desert. And there are 2 security guards. And they've got just one, like, fucking, like, I don't know what you would call this.
One row of...
yeah, it's just a square of, like, prison bars.
Yeah, and they're like, anyone who wants to escape, we have to bring it over to them.
Yeah, so, like, one dude's like, hey, jailers, bring it over. And he, like, tries to pry it open, and he can't.
And they're like, I want to go on break, come on.
Yeah, and I can't remember what does it, but somebody says something like somebody's
it's
like
profound and it's mind blowing. So someone's brain actually explodes. And they're like,
stop
doing that.
So some dude's like, "Hey, get over here!"
And they're like, "I'm on a break." And they're like, "Do it now, or I'm gonna say something profound." They're like, "No, don't do it."
So he goes over and he's like, tells one of the jailers like, "Put your head down by the bars."
He's like, "Okay, just don't do it." And then he says something like, "So what's the deal with society?" or something.
And the jailer's like, "Whoa, what is the deal with society?" And then his head explodes and the bars explode
And they're
along
like,
with-
go! Everybody go!
So they all just start fucking
And
taking
then
off.
he jumps out, but he just like vanishes as he jumps.
And the one, cop who's left, he's like, "Where'd they go? Where'd they go?" And he like just starts looking in the distance, and he just starts screaming and puts his hand out. And it's like a really long, drawn out scream. And then we see in the distance like this car is coming, and it slowly gets closer, and then just suddenly it's like wow, and hits him. And then it like cuts to his birth, where we see like he's born, and the doctor's like, "Congratulations, it's a..." "Oh no." And the mother's like, "What?" He's like, "It's a dirty pig." And it's just a baby wearing a cop hat. And then it like does the same thing where it like sticks its hand out and is like, "Ah!" And then a car like comes and collides with it immediately. And then we cut to this. This is probably like the part of the episode that has me think of it in such a negative way, but we get to the part where it's this dude in the hospital. He's like, he was in a car wreck. And he's like, "Oh, what happened?" And it's like, "You were ogling a lady and you crashed your car. And from you crashing your car, it led to this, it had a domino effect that led to like the crash of civilization. And there were mutants uprising, and he like keeps falling asleep, and every time he wakes up, the world gets a little bit worse. And then he like does it one last time, and he wakes up, and the lady's a mutant, like a full mutant. She's like, yeah, everything's back to normal now. You can leave." He's like, "Oh," and he like walks out, and he's like in the desert, and then he sees a window, and he starts talking about, it's like when your reality is so bad that you like picture a different reality. You're somewhere else, somewhere far away, a poet. And like he looks through a window and he sees a poet writing some poetry. But then we see the cop again when he's a little boy. He talks about how he always wanted a dog. But
And his parents are like, "We don't like you." They were allergic to love or to something like that.
yeah, so
They're
they
like,
get him his grandmother. They bring his grandmother.
Like, no.
So he, raises his grandma like a dog, and he like rubs her face on the carpet and like ruins her face. And they talk about how his neighbor like got a 3-legged dog, but how after like his grandma passed or something. They never really explain what happened to the grandma other than the fact that he like defiled.
Well, yeah, he took her to the vet. And the vet shot her in the head while he shot himself in the head.
Oh, did that happen?
Yeah.
I must have like fucking blanked out on that part.
Yeah. And then the neighbor gets a 3-legged dog, and
But
gets
he can
the
only-
1-legged dog.
He could only afford the one leg though.
Yeah. And he named it Sock.
Yeah, and then it gave birth to some like little toes.
Toes.
And then it got hit by a car, and then he just got it replaced with a wooden.
Yeah, its whole body got replaced with a wooden plank, and then dogs started chasing it, thinking it was a stick.
Yep. And then we cut to the poet again. And, he's basically just writing some poetry. It's like a bird looks at the poet as he's writing. He's like, no, that's not good. The chipmunk.
The chipmunk, the squirrel.
Yeah. Looks at the poet while he's writing. And then these 2 government dudes show up and they're like, "Look, we need you. The government has sent us to collect you. You are the world's greatest poet. And we're not making fun of you or anything. You're genuinely the world's greatest poet. Your poetry is going to save the world."
Words aren't overindulgent or pretentious in the slightest.
Yeah, they're not, what's the fucking term? When you, like... Sopicism, I think it's called, or something like that, where it's like the belief that, like, I can't... So, like, for instance, I can't prove that you're real because I'm not in your head. I can't confirm. So as far as, like, my reality has confirmed, I'm the only person that actually exists, and everyone else could be...
I agree.
Solipsism, I think it's called. But
I think about that every fucking day of my life.
well, that's what it is. And me bringing it up, that's just your brain telling you that it's you.
It's trying to trick it.
And anyone listening to this, it's you who's the true solipsist. We're not real.
Pierre probably believes that.
I wouldn't put it past them. But let's see. Oh yeah, but they're like, we need you to come now. And it's like, wait, hold on. This has inspired me. I gotta write a poem. And he's like, yeah, but we kind of need you. And he's like, I don't know if you guys realize, but I was just told I'm a pretty important poet. And I could probably have you fired. He's like, no.
No, I have 52 kids.
And he's like, well, then you better let me write my poem. And then we see like that there's like a mirror universe that's like crashing down onto like
Yeah.
the actual universe,
Earth
and like
explodes
two
into the
Earths
Earth.
like start colliding toward each other, and we see like the same exact scene on an alternate Earth where they're just colliding, and like the one dude screaming, and then he just high fives, and then the worlds like just collide and explode, and that's the end of the episode. Yes, this is my favorite episode. Consta Death. This was the first episode I had seen.
This is your favorite episode?
This is my favorite episode. It's got one of my least favorite segments in it, but it's my favorite episode.
Interesting. This is probably my least favorite episode.
Yeah. See, I was watching it. I don't know if it would be my favorite episode if I had watched them in like publishing order.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the stuff I liked from it actually like thematically showed up in the last episode. Like the whole like picturing yourself as someone else in a completely different reality. Yeah. Like that pops its head up in this episode again. The stuff I really like, I think the first like majority of it is really bad. It's from like when it starts focusing on Benny and his parents, that whole sequence. I'm like, whoa! There's a lot of like imagery and stuff I like.
I feel that.
But yeah, so basically the movie begins. The movie.
It's a little movie. It's a little short film.
Short anthology movie. Something I wanted to do. But I didn't. Because I was like, I wonder if I were to take all of the narration said throughout the series, because it almost seems like it could link up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like do it because I watched it all yesterday. But I wonder if it would link up. It almost seems like it would sometimes. But anyway. So yeah, so it begins with like this tombstone that says like, you know, rest in peace, Almighty God. And we see like this hand, this really long hand that pops up a couple times throughout the episode. Kind of is like reaching up from like the grave, and it just keeps going upwards. And then we focus, there's like a slave who is like, it looks like he's at like an auction, but there's like nobody there. He's like
getting ready for an auction kind of thing.
He's like standing up on a platform, and he's, you know, like I said, it's talking about like, you know, he who lives a sad reality pictures.
Like has to escape within his mind and imagine himself as a completely different person in a different reality.
And it shows like this little boy running through like Candyland, you know. And basically like the boy like gets like picked up and thrown into this reality, and it's basically like, lies are a sin Christianity teaches. So he must punish himself. So like he, you know, the little candy boy grabs a candy whip, and he's like, you know, he's like repeating as he's like slowly walking up to the slave. He's like, you know, please don't make me do this to myself. And then he turns like the slave into candy, and he starts whipping the candy, and then every time he whips the candy, a new lash forms across his face. And then my least favorite sequence in the episode is the Consta Death part, where
the one that it's named after.
Yeah, and
it just goes on so long.
Yeah, it goes on really long. But yeah, so this dude like goes to the doctor, and the doctor's like,
"You're gonna die in 34 seconds."
He's like, "Wait, I'm gonna die?" He's like, "Well, kind of. You've got this thing that's kind of like, it's like Death Squared. It's called Consta Death."
And they're like, "Consta?" And they're like, "Oh, you've heard of it."
He's like, "Well, no." And he's like, "Well, here, you sign this, join my religion, and it'll get you out of it." And he's like, "But you've only got 30 seconds. Now, chop. And he's like, "Ah." So he signs it. He's like, "All right." And then he dies. And his head like changes, and he becomes a different animal.
Yeah.
and he's like alive for like 2 seconds, and then the animal dies. And every time he dies, like he gets these red X's across his eyes, and there's like this buzzer that goes, and it does that throughout this whole fucking bit.
Yeah.
But he basically goes home after handing the doctor his entire fucking wallet. And he's like, "Hey, honey, I'm home." And she's like, "Oh, how was work, dear?" And he's like, it was whatever. And she's like, "Well, what do you want for dinner?" And he's got like a koala head. And he's like,
well, he's first like bird seed. He's like, "You know what? No, eucalyptus leaves," because he's a koala now.
And then he's a bear. He's like, maybe some deer carcass. And then he turns into a deer. He's like, "Whoa, bear, chill."
And she's like, "Bears don't eat deer carcasses." He's like,
"I
where is my husband?" And he's like, "I don't know if I can bring him back, but I'll try." So then he sits there killing himself for a year.
Yeah, he like strains and tries to like rush through all these deaths, and it takes a year. And he shows up and he's like, and she's like, "Honey, it's so good to see you." And he's like, "Oh yeah, it's good to see you too. How have you been?" And then he dies, and then it's like repeats the cycle where it's like 1 year, and then he's back. And it's like, it goes through this, they have like some brief conversation, and it happens like 3 to 4 times where we see years pass.
Yeah.
Basically, he's like slowly saying like, "Oh, I've been good, how about you?" And she's like, "I've been fine." And then he's like, "Look, I think we need to have an important discussion. I think we should see other people." And she's like, "You're breaking up with me?" And then he's like, "Yes, I met someone else." She's like, "Who is this filthy whore?" He's like, I'll go grab her right now. You can meet her." And his head changes, and it's, I don't know the name of Abraham Lincoln's wife, but it's Abraham Lincoln's wife. And she's like, "You dirty slut." And she's like, "Wait, you don't understand." And she's like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, I was just using your husband. Here, sign this. You're going to die unless you sign this. So she signs it, and then she like dies, and then her head transforms to Abraham Lincoln's, and he's like, "Oh, why do you tease me like this?" And then the narrator chimes in about how it's hard to maintain long distance relationships. And then it starts talking about like, pleasing your significant other in relationships in general, and it talks about this couple and how they satisfy each other. And their relationship is by torturing their kid, because they both fucking hate their kid. They have this kid named Benny. And they like just torment him, and they like fucking use him as a fucking footstool. They like tie him to a tree and swing into him. And one of my favorite bits from this episode, like the imagery, is like when he's like tied to the fucking tree, and he's talking about like how his house looks at him with this like cruel indifference, or maybe it's just hitting on him, and then like, the house winks. And then it talks about how the father got the wife a special gift 1 year for their anniversary, and he like opens up this box, and it's a knife. He just takes the knife and stabs the kid in the arm, and
the little shop of horrors kind of thing.
Yeah, it starts talking, and
it's like,
he's like,
I'm not actually your mother. That's not how things work.
But he's like, shit, maternal instincts kick in hard, though. So he starts breastfeeding it, and it's like, I want chili! So he shoots some chili out of he starts lactating chili, and he's like, whoa, chili hot! Chili hot!
So he goes and pours water on it, and then the chili police show up and knock down the door. He's like, "No!" And he starts shooting chili beans out of his nipples and kills the cop with them.
And he goes outside, and then the wound eats the cop, and then it starts healing, and the wound is like, "I'm dying! You need to heal me!" And he's like,
"You need to use the knife!"
He's like, "No, you're just healing. You're not dying." He's like, "What do you think's gonna happen to me when I'm fully healed? I'll be dead! You gotta cut me!" So he's like, fine. So he cuts him, stabs himself in the arm, and then the wound is like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He's like, "You told me to." And he's like, "I absolutely did not." And he's like, and he just starts freaking out. And then the constant death thing shows up on the house, and it's like, "You're gonna die now! You're dying! Unless you sign this." And then the big creepy hand that came from the grave at the beginning of the episode, like, shows up with the constant death clipboard and it's like, sign here. And then the kid's like, and it's like,
He's like, I know what I must do.
and stabs the hand, and the hand like fucking revolts, and then like this giant hand shows up, and it has like a wound in its center, like kind of like a stigmata kind of thing, and it coughs up the slave from the beginning that looks at him. It's like, other version of me, I think of you like my father. And then it like shows the like Almighty God rest in peace, and it erases it and writes humans are an STD. And then like, yeah, that's I think that's the final shot of the episode.
I think so.
And that's Constant Death. This is the first episode I saw, and I remember, minus the middle bit, like the imagery and the weird, just I really liked this episode. Like, aside from that, I was
Yeah,
like, wow.
I feel it. Like I pretty much like all the episodes, but that constant just feels so long.
Yeah, like I'd say overall every episode has something I like in it, but there are like 1 or 2 episodes that have a bit where I'm like, yeah, that one kind of brought down the episode a bit. All right. After Constant Death is an episode that I actually had not seen before. I thought I had seen every episode going into this, but I hadn't. I hadn't seen this one. And I blame that when the show was being rolled out, Adult Swim did this like weird thing where they like put the episodes, and like it was like a scavenger hunt through like different areas on the internet to like where you could watch episodes. So when I like watched through the series for my first time, they were like all out of order and on various different like websites. Like the pilot was like on YouTube, and so was the Constant Death episode, but like a couple others were like on Adult Swim's website, and I don't even know where some of the others were. I had to watch some on cable, but apparently they were all like online at some point. But I hadn't seen this episode, and this is like the weirdest episode because the majority of it is just one bit.
Yeah.
And it's called Toe and Shell. And the beginning of it talks about how like lies attract bunnies.
Yeah, obviously. I knew that already.
Yeah. And then there's like a cheating wife hotline where like some dude, his wife is like cheating on him, and he's like calls this hotline, and this person, like a 911 dispatcher, kind of tells him what to do, takes him through the steps to get his wife back. And she basically gives him the nice guys finish last philosophy where it's like, treat her like an asshole. He's like, it worked. She took me back. And she's like, don't thank me, sir. I'm only doing my job. And then we cut to the actual rest of the episode, which is this boy named Polly who is showing his seashell to the class for show and tell. And a lot happens here. So he's like, yeah, basically like, I've got the seashell and you can hear the ocean. And he listens, and he's like listening, and he hears his dad who kills his mom. And they both like shit talk him before it happens. They're both like, our son's a piece of shit. He kills his mom. And then the dude like calls 911.
Well, no, he doesn't kill his mom. He kills his dad. His dad, that's his lover.
Oh, I just assumed it was his
No,
mother.
they were cheating. He was cheating on her. He's like, I can't let my wife know.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so he kills his woman, then he calls 911.
He's like, oh, there's a woman. I was running, and there's a woman. I've never seen her before.
It looks
She
like...
doesn't even look like my type.
But it looks like she was killed in a lover's spat.
By her lover. They're like, oh, what does she look like? You know, she doesn't look like my type, but I didn't kill her. I wouldn't kill anyone. You know, I'd be so sad if anyone died, except maybe my son. I fucking hate that kid.
Yeah, and then she's like, oh yeah, he sounds like a fucking piece of shit. You know, if I was him, you know, and all of his classmates, I'd start calling him Solid Face.
and then suddenly the guy on the phone was like, wait, no, she's getting up. Oh, she has my gun. A gun. She's like, honey, don't do it. And then he gets shot. And then blood starts spilling out of the seashell, the conch.
And he looks over at the teacher, and he's like, hey.
And the blood smells Solid Face.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, I think something's wrong with my seashell. Oh, no, that happens in a little bit. But basically, we're stuck with the 911 dispatcher for a little while. And this lady calls and she starts describing this horrific scene with a cat.
Yeah, she sounds like an elderly woman, and she's like, "Do you need elderly care?" And she's like, "I'm 24."
Yeah, and then there's just like this girl in the classroom who's
Who has a
wearing a
cat
cat
shirt.
sweatshirt, and she starts crying, and she turns into an old woman. And then a dead cat like falls out of the seashell, and then he finally turns to the teacher. He's like, "Hey, I think something's wrong with my seashell." And the teacher like rips open the cat and finds that it's full of jewels. So he takes all the jewels and he's like, "I can finally quit this dead-end job," and he leaves. And we hear the fucking teacher through the seashell because he gets into a car crash. And he calls 911. He's like, "Help! I'm wealthy, and I've gotten into a car crash." And he's like, "Oh, you're wealthy. You should have just said so. We'll link you to the wealthy 911 dispatch." And it's like super slow, and the dude's like, "Oh, yes, we can offer you many options, many options." He's like, "There are wolves! There are wolves outside. They're licking the blood off the hood of my car. I just send an ambulance." And he's like, "All right, yeah, I just need the confirmation code." He's like, "I don't remember."
He's like, "You know what, sir? I will send you an ambulance without the confirmation code. Now, which one would you like?" And he
Yeah, would
starts
you like a
describing-
stretcher or a hot tub?
or a high stretch or slow, you know. He's like, "No," and then he just
The wolves!
Yeah, and then he gets eaten and
And then
dies.
a wolf comes out.
Yeah, jumps out of the seashell.
And then, oh god, I don't
then,
quite remember the
it's
subsequent
like-
order, but like the ocean steals the sound of the sea from the seashell.
Well, first it's he gets bitten by the seashell, right?
Yeah, he might.
Yeah, because it's like he was looking at the wolf, so he didn't see the real enemy, the seashell.
Oh
bites
yes,
him.
that's what happens. And it gains this like god level sentience.
Yeah.
But all the kids are just teasing him about it. And then he like basically like the sea like steals its sound back, and
And
then
he's
it's
like, something's going on, you know, they're planning something. So then he's like, so he watches.
Yes.
Every day he puts a gun through the seashell, and it just shows him pointing a gun, like
And
just
the
a disembodied hand pointing a gun at the ocean.
And before, like, the ocean was, like, super, like, chaotic, and it was, like, lots of waves. And then he points the gun, and then it just chilled the fuck out. It was like, oh! And yeah.
And he's like, the hero will never know.
And yeah, that's that whole episode.
I do think this because it is just this one gag. I do think it runs a little long, but I really like the visual of just a disembodied arm holding a gun at the ocean.
Yeah, I thought that was
Like there are elements of this gag that do work really well. I just think it went on a little too long, and I think that's because it's just one gag.
Yeah, I agree. If they had maybe inserted, like, one more bit to this episode, it probably would have been a little better, because it's literally just, like, the beginning with the 911, or not the 911, the, like, cheating dispatch.
Yeah.
And then it, like, switches over into this show and tell. Now we're on the final episode. Foul Flow. And basically this dude walks into a bar. He's got a hand.
Foul as in bird, not foul as in foul.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So he, dude walks in. He's got some fingers, or he's got a hand, and he's like, "Who wants to buy a hand?" And no one does.
finger.
The dude's like, "How much for a finger?" He's like, "Buy me a whiskey and we'll call it even." So now there's like a shit ton of whiskey on the table. He's got all the fingers from that hand, and he's got all this dude's fingers. So he doesn't want the hand, he just wants the fingers. And then he's like, "Say, what are you gonna do with all these fingers?" And then the like dude smiles, and it cuts to
That
a
guy's
shot.
dead body in the forest.
This shot, the forest scene, like the way the forest looks and how it like changes from day to night. Twin Peaks to the fucking heavens, dude. Like, unfortunately, there's no one who dances with nipple fingers in Twin Peaks.
I was gonna say, like, whoa.
Or finger
Yeah, I
nipples.
mean, like, it was interesting seeing how because it's very obviously, like, the film's formatted to be similar to, like, the Twilight Zone with, like, the narration and the setup. But it's interesting to see all the allusions to other properties as well.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, then basically we start following this woman who is very insecure, and she's got like this like kind of like, it looks like a bunch of pubes, but it's like like kind of like furry black monster that like is the embodiment of her insecurities.
Yeah.
That like just is latched onto her at all times.
And it has this like bright. It just like has this like flashing color that happens when the insecurity is around.
Yeah. But then she meets this other dude who has like insecurities at a bar. She's like, I'm in love with him. And then
But instead, the insecurities jump off and go.
and they find each other. And then she's like, well, fuck, I don't even have my insecurity anymore. I'm super sad. So she like goes to this, she goes to like this like beauty remedy kind of thing where they like open her heart.
Well, no, she sees the insecurities walking, and she's like, even
Because
seeing love, even at a distance,
can
turn your heart into a burning pile of trash. Yeah. So she goes to the doctor to fix it.
Oh, okay. And they like
they
rip
do.
her open and have someone
And she
read some
starts
poetry.
talking, and they're like, stop talking, close her up. And they put duct tape over her mouth. And then they are like, once she stopped talking, everyone saw how beautiful she was. And she started growing more beautiful. So, like, her hair got changed. And then suddenly she started, like...
She's blonde and starts growing beauty marks.
And then it starts, like, forming into, like, a giant hive.
Yeah, she basically becomes this beauty mark monster.
Yeah.
And she goes to the man in the bar, and he becomes, like, so, like, smitten that his tongue starts wrapping around his head.
And then he dies.
And we hear the 911 call. Someone's like, some fucking monster walked into the bar and, like, fucking enchanted this man, and now he's dead, and she's killed the only man she'll ever love. Then, we cut back to the finger guy. He's like looking through a telescope, and it's talking about like the infinite expanse of the universe and how it makes him feel insignificant. He's like, I don't like feeling insignificant. So he points a knife at like the fucking lens.
He's like, get out of here.
So like all of the fucking stars just like shoot into the telescope, and he like has like this little pile of like stardust.
He goes and buys like a single beer with it.
Yeah. And then yes, and then we cut to the insecurity monsters years later, like they're elderly now. And basically, they're just sitting. One of them, the husband, like is like one of those types that always sits in his like fucking chair, doesn't like getting out of his chair. And he's like, hey, grab me a beer, would you? To his wife, and his wife's like,
Gloria!
Yeah, Gloria, can you bring me a beer? And she's taking a while, and it's like, my hand is itching for that beer. It's literally chafing, and it starts bleeding. He's like, wow. Sauce! I'm saucing over here.
My mother's bagushka sauce.
Yeah, and she brings the beer. He's like, don't bring me beer. I'm saucing right now.
And she tastes it. She's like, oh my God.
That's wonderful. We're going to be rich. We can sell this. And
he's like, go get the money bucket.
She's like, oh, I get to touch the money bucket. I'm going to go call my mother. He's like, right now, just go grab the money bucket. And she's like, I'm going to call my mother and tell her that she was always wrong about you. She always said you was a deadbeat, but you're actually making something of yourself. And he's like, oh, that's cool, Gloria. I like that. But can you please go grab the money bucket? And she's like, my mom was right about you. You're nothing but a fucking lazy bum. Go grab the money bucket for yourself. And then she like starts packing her bags, and she's like, I'm leaving you now that I'm a rich woman. He's like, what are you talking about? Where did you get rich? She's like, I'll have you know that I'm an associate behind this lucrative sauce firm or something like that. And then she slips and falls, and she like
dies.
She lands on the coffee table.
He's like, I want to help you, but I don't like getting up from my chair.
She's like, I'm sorry that I let my wealth transform my heart and maybe betray you. And then she like sinks in the sauce, and then he's like heartbroken and devastated, so he just like fucking rots there. His hand finally stops saucing.
Yeah, he stops he starts just like rotting away, and then the woman comes in, and she She doesn't have her beauty marks anymore.
No,
Somebody
she
has
does
them.
have her beauty marks, and she starts taking them off and feeding them to him because he was
that's
starving.
right.
And then once all the beauty marks are gone and he's fully nourished, he sees that it's his old partner that he used to latch on to.
Yeah.
And basically, there's like a line where it's like, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. And he just realized this. And then we see like some sparkles in his eyes. And we see the finger guy at the telescope again. And he sucks them all out. And then he starts fucking the telescope. And then he like blows a load of stars into the sky again. And that's the episode.
That's the episode.
So this is
I like that episode, but I definitely agree that it's kind of a strange stopping point. So I like that the pilot is the
I think it's
pretty good
fine,
episode.
but as the season finale, like kind of a weak episode. But yeah, my favorite bit from that episode is like the beauty mark and the sauce.
I really like the guy with his tongue unraveling. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god.
But yeah, no, this is just like a little surrealist anthology dark comedy show.
I like how bite-sized the episodes are.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me.
I
of
think
like,
it does work as a whole unit really well. Like,
yeah, it feels kind of like Robot Chicken if Robot Chicken were more like philosophical and psychological and a bit more surrealist.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But yeah, no, I really don't have like a whole lot to say about it. I kind of chimed in when we were like talking about each episode. But yeah, no, I really like the show. I remember when the season wrapped, I was sad because I basically because every fucking show I really like on Adult Swim, like really, really like it, always gets canceled.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, a stop motion show on Adult Swim, that isn't like Robot Chicken, it's gonna get canceled. Like, I thought, like, it was done, but I had forgotten about it for a few months, and then I looked online, and I saw it was, like, getting a second season, which is why I picked it this week. Kind of a recap.
So it is getting a second season?
Yeah, it got renewed. The second season's supposed to come out sometime this month.
Oh, cool.
Apparently, it only took them, like, 6 months to animate all the episodes, and then like 2 months to edit it. So clearly it didn't take like super long for them to like produce this. So it seems like at some point later in this year we'll probably get the next season. I wouldn't be surprised if they like pushed it back, seeing how we haven't gotten any like trailers or anything yet.
Mm-hmm.
I could see it maybe being pushed back to next year if they decide they want to like spend a little more time on it or something. But I'm super fucking excited. I really liked it. Makes me glad that I like bought it on Amazon Prime as soon as like the season had wrapped, because I felt like I was like, I gotta financially support the show somehow. It's not on DVD or Blu-ray, and I want a second season, and this is like my only chance. So hopefully, it clearly had some sort of a cult following, seeing how it got renewed. So I'm hoping that it grows and maybe even gets a third season. But if you
17 seasons, maybe.
that might be a little too much.
Do you have a rating for the show as a whole, or season 1 as a whole?
Yeah, I'd probably give it like a 7.
Yeah, I'm about there.
I really like where it goes. It always is so surreal and so absurd that it like I feel about it how I kind of feel about like David Lynch's work, where it creates such unique situations that you really couldn't experience a film or a show that explores plots like the show does so successfully.
Yeah.
But that being said, maybe in the future when I rewatch it and I pay like a bit closer attention to like the thematics of every episode, because there were some times where like it felt like an episode had like a really good idea on what it wanted to be thematically, and some episodes it felt like it was a little bit rougher to understand what they were going for.
I feel it.
But I would probably give this series a 7.
Yeah, me too. I'd give it a 7. Pretty solid all around. Some of the, even the things that I didn't really like, the parts that I disliked, like Consta-Death, if I were to rate Consta-Death like just that segment on its own, I'd be like, oh, that's like a 4.
Yeah.
Because I like it just goes on way too long. But pretty much every other segment, if I were to like be like, they were pretty good. They were too great. So.
Yeah.
All right, next week, what are we watching?
Oh, just to clarify before I say this, 1995 counts as classic, right? Because that's like exactly 25 years?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, technically it's the 26, because 96 is the 25th year. So 96 is 25 years from before now.
So would 95 work for
95,
classic?
yeah.
Okay. So, Fusion Reborn, Dragon Ball Z.
Okay, cool.
You'll get to see what half of what Broly was, because the new Broly movie was like this weird remake of like the old Broly franchise mixed with this movie.
I've seen the original Broly movie. Is that this one?
No, Broly's not in this one.
Oh, okay.
They just take.
Oh, okay. I see. What you're saying.
They like fused like those two to make the new the plot of the new Broly movie.
Okay. So I need you to pick W, T, or F.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
I didn't do that on purpose.
I'm gonna go with F because I like fuck.
Okay. From Goro Miyazaki, Miyazaki's son.
The red turtle. No,
He didn't
that
do
wasn't.
that.
Yeah.
From Up on Poppy Hill, from 2011.
Is that like that 3D one?
You might be thinking of the other movie he made. Actually, I don't. No, I don't think so.
Oh, I was watching
This one. Yeah.
Poppy Hill. All right, I can remember that.
From Up on Poppy Hill.
Oh man, I hope
Not the first one he made, which was Tales of the Earthsea, which is the one Miyazaki was like, yeah, it sucks.
I was gonna say, hopefully, I like his movies more than his dad did.
Apparently, he likes this one.
Oh, okay.
I almost picked Tales of the Earthsea because I wanted to see it.
I was watching something, and one of the trailers for.
Oh, Fusion Reborn's 55 minutes. Oh, good.
Yeah, I said it was a short one.
Yeah, I assume like an hour and a half.
I can staple another hour-long DBZ
If
movie.
you want, we can.
All right, I'm going to add World's Strongest then. That one's from 1990. Movie 2, and I think Fusion Reborn is movie 13, 12, maybe 11. It's towards the later
You know
part.
what? Let's just throw in every single Dragon Ball Z movie. Just kidding. Let's do that.
No, they're not all good.
Let's watch Dragon Ball Z Super Android 13. Okay, cool. So we got those two Dragon Ball Z movies and From Up on Poppy Hill. Very cool.
Week! Next week!
Party time!
Yeah.
Excellent!
Woo!
All right. Well, you know the drill. Tell your grandma. Have a good day. And adios. Adios!
Later.
Adios! I'm Thomas.
You know what's sad? Every time I think of someone saying later, I always think of Ethan Hawke and fucking Before Sunrise. Later.
Oh. You know, we're doing the Before trilogy again instead. No, just kidding. All right, bye.